Hi, my name is Kyle Power, and this is my presentation for the History and Theory of Public Administration. The federal agency that I will talk about is the United States Department of Education, and how the United States Department of Education is the federal agency that establishes policy and administers federal guidance to education in the United States. And then briefly talk about the No Child Left Behind Act and the current Every Student Succeeds Act, which is being implemented in schools across the United States in the 2017 and 2018 school year. Here's a timeline dating back to 1965 all the way up to current time of the various acts of education mandated by federal government. And I can't help but, when I see this dating back all the way to 1965, I can't help but think about the branch methodology of policy implementation by Charles Lindblom and incrementalism or gradualism of change in policies, and how policies build upon each other. Things move slowly in government, and even though the objectives sound great at the beginning, only time will tell the true effectiveness of each of these acts. And as we're moving into a new act, which is the Every Student Succeeds Act, only more time will be needed to see how effective it is as a tool for oversight and education in the United States. The No Child Left Behind Act, I will talk about that briefly, and that was put into place to measure and expose achievement gaps in underserved students. One of the arguments against the No Child Left Behind Act is that it actually incentivized and had so much federal pressures on the states and on the city or states and local governments that the local governments and local schools were putting pressures on the teachers to perform, and by perform I mean to produce higher levels of standardized testing, and which in turn had teachers teaching children on how to do better on standardized testing versus actually teaching on curriculum that would better serve them in the future throughout their school years. The Every Student Succeeds Act has been built upon the No Child Left Behind Act, and is an example of cooperative federalism, as it gives, and an example of decentralization of government, as it gives more power to the states and to the local municipalities, and flexibility of how they will test and how they will score their test, by including factors as far as much as teacher qualifications, test scores, or access to technologies, or student access to higher levels of coursework. So all these factors, there's more factors being included into the Every Student Succeeds Act that can kind of give a more comprehensive picture as to how well these students in a specific area or geographic area are doing. This kind of is reflective of one of the quotes from Rivlin, which I'll paraphrase. It had to do with social service effectiveness and how it must be measured in relation to the difficulty of the task. So instead of doing just one blanket standardized testing as a No Child Left Behind Act, it would measure more the other factors surrounding just the standardized tests, which would be socioeconomic factors and other factors related to the students that are in that geographic area. And that measures of change are better than measures of absolute level. So, so over time, by looking at where these deficiencies fall, hopefully by giving power to the local governments, by giving more power to the state can now address these deficiencies better than having the federal government have the oversight. Now, also looking back to the No Child Left Behind Act, the means to an end, which would be what Robert Merton talked about with bureaucracy. However, not necessarily a bureaucracy, but the means to an end of the No Child Left Behind Act was to develop the highest, see who had the highest scores, and then and then also see the deficiencies and bring those deficiencies up to speed, where hopefully the Every Student Succeeds Act means to an end is to allow the states and the local governments to have more ability to address what is needed and what is going to provide the best outcome for the students in that area. Well, this is my presentation. Here are my references, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.